61. For what purpose does the gentleman from Vermont seek recognition?
This is me. Mr. Speaker, I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 3, printed in House Report number 116-61, offered by Mr. Welch of Vermont.
Pursuant to House Resolution 377, the gentleman from Vermont, Mr. Welch, and a member opposed. Each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Vermont.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, this amendment, which I'll describe in a moment, is about improving and preserving the Affordable Care Act. The word sabotage has been used here. We don't need that word. We have a very straightforward, very transparent difference of view. The Democrats supported and passed the Affordable Care Act. We've been defending it for years. The Republicans opposed it. President Trump made it a campaign pledge to get rid of it, and they came within a vote in the Senate, except for John McCain, of repealing the law altogether. We don't have to use words that are pejorative. We think we should have the Affordable Care Act. We think we should make it stronger, and my colleagues on the other side of the aisle voted against it and now want to repeal it. One of the ways to make the Affordable Care Act effective is to have automatic re-enrollment. If a family is in the Affordable Care Act and the time for re-enrollment comes up, if they take no action, then they're automatically re-enrolled in the plan that they are already in. If you take away the automatic re-enrollment, folks fall off oftentimes for no particular reason. They were doing other things. They didn't notice about it. They didn't have the time. They didn't get to a navigator. There's lots of things that come between automatic re-enrollment or picking your own plan. And by the way, studies have shown that automatic re-enrollment, like automatic withdrawal to go into your retirement account, those are very, very effective. The president has indicated a desire to get rid of the automatic re-enrollment program. He hasn't done that yet. This amendment would prohibit him from doing that. Now, there's a reason why the administration would like to get rid of auto re-enrollment, because the evidence suggests that that would mean about 2 million Americans would then lose access to their health care because they hadn't re-enrolled. We don't want that to happen. We want those American families who depend on the health care that they have to continue receiving the health care next year, just like they received it this year. So this amendment makes it very clear that that automatic re-enrollment program would continue to be part of the Affordable Care Act. And keep in mind, it in no way limits the ability of a family, an individual, to decide to get into a different plan or to affirmatively say they don't want to be in any plan. That can still happen. So there's total and complete freedom of choice, but it gives security that's going to be very beneficial to about 2 million American families. And I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The committee will rise informally to receive a message.
House will be in order.
Mr. Speaker, a message from the Senate.
Mr. Speaker, I have been directed by the Senate to inform the House that the Senate has passed S-1208, the Protecting America's First Responders Act, in which concurrence of the House is requested.
The committee will resume its sitting.
The committee will be in order. For what purpose does the gentleman from Illinois seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to claim time in opposition, and I will reserve my time.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes and reserves.
We have no further speakers, so So I reserve my time.
Mr. Chairman, I believe I have the right to close.
The gentleman from Vermont is recognized.
How much time do I have?
The gentleman has 2 minutes remaining.
As I mentioned earlier, we just have a difference of opinion. We think the Affordable Care Act is important to preserve and important to improve. My colleagues, when they've had an opportunity, have voted to repeal it. And failing to repeal it, what the Trump administration has done is chip away at it. We don't want the administration to be able to get rid of auto enrollment, which would likely result in the loss of 2 million families getting access to health care. There's been a number of other things that have happened, slashing funding for consumer outreach and enrollment education by 90%, cutting back the uninsured rate for 4 years, 1.1 million Americans losing coverage last year. In the latest ACA Marketplace final rule, the administration openly contemplated getting rid of this auto re-enrollment. This amendment protects the auto re-enrollment. It's going to protect the continued access to care under the Affordable Care Act for 2 million Americans. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman